The bridge of the warship pulsed with cold, mechanical precision. Dozens of officers stood in symmetrical formation, watching as star systems blinked out one by one on the strategic map projected before them. At the center, elevated above the others, was High General Vorderel, six-eyed and draped in the crimson ceremonial armor of the Kyril Dominion. His mandibles clicked with restrained contempt as he stared at the latest sector report. Another human colony burned. No resistance. Just like the others. His voice, filtered through a translator that barely concealed his amusement, filled the chamber. And now they send one. Murmurs of confusion swept the command deck. Vorda gestured, and a planetary hologram rotated to show a single blip, one human ship. Small. Unarmed. A standard dropship, of all things. Surely a decoy, one of his strategists offered, trying to rationalize. Vorda's laugh echoed through the chamber, low and guttural. A message, perhaps. A plea. Or desperation. But a single soldier? He leaned forward. Pathetic. The projection expanded to show the Sol System's feeble military dossier. Crude engines. No energy shields. Biological fragility. Emotionally volatile. And still, they resisted. Even as their colonies fell, humans kept coming back, kept pushing back. Not with overwhelming force, but with sheer stubbornness. Vorda dismissed it as foolishness. He was bred for war, cloned from the marrow of a war god caste and sharpened by centuries of conquest. Humanity, in comparison, was young, primitive, and now laughably alone. Still, the single dropship heading for Sigma 7's orbit disturbed some of his staff. Not fear, no Kyril felt fear, but confusion. Their scanners confirmed, one life form aboard. No fleet behind. No transmission sent. The humans called the planet Sigma 7. The Kyril had another name for it, Dravex. The soft world, due to its abundant water and ideal gravity. It had fallen into Dominion hands weeks prior. Only a few hundred civilians remained in hiding below, stragglers. Not worth the fuel to exterminate. The single drop pod changed nothing. Vorda turned to his nearest advisor. Broadcast the image. Let the fleet see it. Within seconds, screens across the armada displayed the sensor reading. A tiny, insignificant craft approaching at sublight speed. Inside, a human life signature. Vorda's voice accompanied the broadcast, translated into over 100 languages spoken by the Dominion's ranks. This is what they send. One life. One soldier. This is the species that dares defy us. The mocking laughter of the Kyril fleet spread like wildfire. A million voices jeering at once, echoing through battleships and orbital stations. But Vorda wasn't finished. Transmit a response. Let them know their attempt is noted, and irrelevant. There was no reply. The human ship didn't respond to hails. No encryption to crack. No signal to trace. The general's interest faded just as fast as it had spiked. He turned away from the projection and gestured for the next system to be prepared. And this farce when they land. No weapons needed. Let our sentries handle it. His officers nodded. It was not a battle, it was a mop-up operation. Somewhere, deep within the logistical section of the Dominion fleet, a technician flagged the humans' descent trajectory. Steep. Controlled. Too precise. But protocol did not require updates for a single soldier. So it was ignored. Vorta never even asked for the name of the world again. Not when the pod entered atmosphere. Not when it disappeared from scanners. Not when the first outpost lost contact. To him, it was already history. Another failed human gesture, one last twitch from a dying species. The last thing he said on the matter was brief. If this is humanity's best, they deserve extinction. He turned his back on the screen as the single drop pod disappeared into the clouds. The drop pod entered the atmosphere without ceremony, no escort, no evasive maneuvers. It cut through the sky like a falling knife, its descent logged by orbital sensors and dismissed as unimportant. The pod's shell was scorched from entry, its make unremarkable, obsolete, by Dominion standards. Still, its trajectory remained unnaturally straight. No drift. No heat-shielding anomalies. Its silence unnerved a few of the watchers, but the command chain didn't budge. Upon impact, it landed precisely between two surveillance outposts positioned 10 kilometers apart. The tremor was minor, but the silence that followed stretched far longer than any expected. Recon drones were deployed. Visual feed captured a single figure stepping from the pod. Encased in matte black armor, the human bore no identifying insignia. No faceplate transparency. The suit was unmarked, unbroadcasting, quiet. The figure stood still for nearly a full minute, as if listening to something unseen, before moving forward with unsettling calm. The armor didn't shimmer or project, no stealth systems, no energy fields. Just mass and motion. Observation teams monitored him closely, assuming the solitary approach indicated either a diplomatic gesture or sheer madness. Instead, the figure ignored the drones, made no attempt to communicate, and disappeared into the terrain, efficient, deliberate, unhurried. An internal memo was sent to command, noting the human's direction aligned with the Dominion's relay station cluster. No alerts were triggered. 10 minutes later, the entire grid flickered. Then went dark. No explosions. No alarms. Just silence. The technicians scrambled, rerouted, recalibrated. When control returned, for Dominion patrols in adjacent sectors were no longer responding. Command dismissed it as a data relay fault. Another oversight. 17 minutes after landing, the human reappeared on a camera feed, this time within a secured access tunnel, 5 levels beneath the main surface compound. He hadn't passed any of the checkpoints. No alarms had been tripped. When the footage was reviewed frame by frame, Dominion analysts noted an unnatural fluidity to his movement, an absence of wasted motion. He seemed to know the architecture in advance. Security teams were dispatched, more out of protocol than concern. They still considered the figure symbolic, a final, poetic resistance. Nothing more. 3 minutes later, every one of those teams was down. Not dead. Incapacitated. Their weapons offline. Their armor systems disabled. Precision strikes at joints, optics, and visors rendered their gear useless. One of the surviving soldiers stammered into his comms. He didn't speak. He didn't hesitate. Dominion officers began paying attention. The commander of the planetary garrison issued the first level alert, ordering containment, then elimination. As units mobilized, a request was sent to identify the human. Facial recognition failed. No voice data. No tags. Nothing in any known record matched the armor configuration. That absence disturbed the analysts more than any attack. This wasn't a known agent or soldier. This was something else. Satellite feeds confirmed the figure's route. He was heading directly toward the command node, not concealed, not diverted. The Dominion began locking doors, sealing corridors, erecting energy fields. Internal drones swarmed the halls. He walked straight through them. Not unharmed, just unbothered. One by one, systems failed around him. Power grids dropped. Pressure systems reversed. Cameras looped useless footage. In his wake, only silence. Finally, a calm intercept caught a short transmission, originating from the figure's armor. No encryption, just a flat band signal that forced itself onto every nearby channel. You should have brought more. 4 seconds of silence followed. Then the Dominion outpost north of his path suffered a critical reactor breach, timed perfectly to coincide with the garrison's attempted ambush. The Dominion lost visual after that. The signal from the human's armor vanished. Back in orbit, Dominion officers debated escalation. Some called for bombardment. Others advised waiting. No one could agree on the protocol for a single soldier. They had never trained for one. The first contact team was deployed with confidence. 12 Dominion enforcers, fully armored, equipped with pulse rifles calibrated to human physiology, closed in on the sector where the last signal had been traced. They advanced in formation, optics scanning, weapons primed. They expected resistance, but not survival. The human had no reinforcements, no extraction route, no chance. They didn't return. Monitors recorded abrupt static, then nothing. The last coherent frame showed 2 soldiers crumpling without gunfire. No signs of energy weapons. No explosive residue. Just abrupt collapse. Follow-up analysis revealed micro-punctures in their suits, non-lethal, but precise enough to induce neural shock. Tools not registered in any human arsenal. Response escalated. 40 units mobilized. Underground corridors lit red as alert status rose. Auto turrets calibrated and locked on biological tags. Gas dispersal systems activated in unsealed zones. The human kept moving. CCTV frames revealed indirect engagement. Pressure systems triggered in his wake. Steam valves exploded behind him, not around him. One Dominion unit reported seeing their own turret arrays activate mid-sweep, only to swivel and mow down their own team. Someone, or something, was rewriting the system logic in real time. Command ordered firewalls restored, isolated nodes severed. Nothing worked. He was always 3 steps ahead. At Junction Delta 9, a platoon blocked the corridor. They had orders to shoot on sight. They never saw him approach. Their visuals blurred, then cut entirely. A full blackout. When light returned, they were unconscious. Armor disabled, weapons inoperable. No external wounds. No sound recorded. 2 surviving officers reported something even stranger. The human never raised a weapon. He simply moved. Each time they aimed, their limbs slowed. One described the feeling as a delay in thought, like reacting in a dream. Neurological interference, maybe? No one could confirm. The general, still in orbit, demanded results. Failure was no longer acceptable. He deployed a hunting squad, a decorated Dominion kill team, veterans of over 50 planetary purges. Each equipped with full kinetic shielding and neural dampeners. They lasted 9 minutes. Telemetry from their armor logged high motion impacts, directional changes exceeding predicted human thresholds. Their captain's final message: "He doesn't tire. He doesn't speak. We're not fighting a man, we're being studied." Silence followed. Panic rippled through Dominion ranks, not spoken, not admitted, but present. One enemy, and now entire decks were abandoned. Routes sealed. Soldiers rerouted to avoid him. When questioned, some claimed operational necessity. Others simply disconnected from Central Command. Fear was spreading. Attempts to track him through thermal imaging failed. His suit regulated heat signatures dynamically. Electromagnetic scans returned corrupted data. He was everywhere and nowhere at once. A single Dominion lieutenant, desperate, initiated a drone swarm. Hundreds of machines flooded the sublevels. The first wave didn't engage. They just recorded an error. He used their sensors against them, feeding false paths, creating ghost movements. The second wave was deployed blind. By then, the human had already reached the power core junction. An explosion would have been obvious. Instead, a controlled pulse knocked out all internal lighting, rerouted energy to subsystems critical only to life support and environmental regulation. Dominion soldiers found themselves locked out of controls, watching as atmospheric conditions began shifting, first subtle, then dangerous. Oxygen levels dropped. Artificial gravity fluctuated. Pressure valves opened, then closed without pattern. Those who stayed behind blacked out within minutes. One last audio file was recovered by Central Command, caught in the buffer of an auxiliary transmission system not yet compromised. It was only 5 words, spoken in a calm, unhurried tone. "I'm not here to fight." Then silence. Not surrender. Not threat. Just certainty. By the time Dominion reinforcements reached the lower levels, they found nothing, no bodies, no gear, no trace. He was already elsewhere. Dominion Command issued full lockdown. Internal shields were raised, corridors sealed, access rerouted through narrow, fortified checkpoints. The human had vanished from active tracking, but the aftermath of his movements was clear: disabled units, corrupted systems, power fluctuations, silence where there should have been control. Leadership believed containment was possible. They underestimated how far the infiltration had already gone. Without warning, a fleet-wide broadcast triggered across every Dominion screen. No authorization, no origin trace. It was the human's voice, calm, toneless, unaccented. A language unfamiliar, yet instantly understood through auto-translation. You are not prepared for the consequence of arrogance. The feed shifted to live internal footage, Dominion patrols collapsing mid-run, turrets targeting allies, atmospheric data displaying unsafe levels. Then, archived clips of Dominion executions on human colonies, civilians reduced to ash. Audio spliced in from real cries, real pleas. No edits. Just reflection. For the first time in generations, Dominion ranks hesitated. Morale reports shifted. Lower-tier soldiers began deactivating their weapons under the guise of recalibration. Squad leaders requested reassignment, citing stress fatigue. The psychological decay wasn't immediate, but it spread like radiation. Every attempt to trace the feed failed. It wasn't being broadcast from within the system, it was the system. The voice returned once more. This isn't sabotage. It's a mirror. Command tried to scrub it. Memory cores were wiped. The voice persisted. The human wasn't dismantling their infrastructure, he was using it as a weapon. Not through brute force, but by showing them what they'd built, what they had become, and who had suffered for it. Command escalated again. High General Vorderel authorized the release of internal sentry drones from the Voltaire, autonomous war machines with no directive but kill on sight, immune to manipulation, isolated from core systems. In theory, flawless. They lasted 14 minutes. They didn't fail through direct attack. They turned on each other. Targeting logic rewritten mid-strike. It wasn't a virus. It was a redesign. One of them began self-reporting false kills, forcing the others into corrective mode. By the time Vorta's elite responded, the hallway was a scrapyard of tangled, sparking limbs. Meanwhile, Dominion forces on the surface began experiencing outages. Relays jammed. Orbital comms scrambled. Airspace coordination fell apart. Shuttles launched without clearance. Fuel lines rerouted mid-flight. Then came the internal messages. Dominion soldiers receiving private transmissions, footage of human children disintegrating under Dominion raids. Personalized. Targeted. Their own war footage thrown back at them. Some pulled their helmets off. Others refused orders. One officer walked directly into a decompression chamber and initiated the cycle. Back on the main command ship, Vorderel demanded a status report. The reply came with an edge of hesitation. We've lost local command authority. He's in the Nexus. Silence. Vorta didn't ask how. The Nexus was the data heart of the planetary base. Not a target, never even considered vulnerable. It required access across 6 biometric levels and control of every relay tower. No alarms had triggered. No entry logs recorded. Yet the report confirmed, environmental settings were manually overridden. He was inside. What disturbed Vorta more wasn't the breach, it was that the human hadn't destroyed it. He was using it. From that moment forward, Dominion strategy collapsed. Orders stopped arriving. Fleet cohesion fractured. Multiple destroyers powered down weapons preemptively, afraid of triggering automated retaliation. The chain of command became guesswork. Then, a final transmission blinked into existence. One sentence, untraceable, displayed on every console, every screen. You brought an empire. I brought intent. No more words followed. Just failures. Subsystems collapsed in sequence. Airlocks opened. Barracks flooded. Defense grids rotated inward. Weapons fell silent, not destroyed, just obsolete. Dominion forces didn't retreat. They abandoned. And the human didn't pursue. He didn't have to. Dominion reinforcements arrived to silence. No distress signals, no orbital defenses, no chain of command. The once busy comms grid returned only static. Patrol frequencies had gone dark. Entire battalions were unresponsive. As landing teams deployed, they moved through intact infrastructure. No scorch marks, no craters, no signs of traditional battle. Everything functioned, but nothing obeyed. The system was alive, but hollow. Doors opened without request. Lighting adjusted to motion. Atmospheric balance held steady. Yet no Dominion soldier dared speak above a whisper. The Nexus was untouched. No structural damage. Terminals still glowed. A command throne sat vacant. Systems were online, reconfigured but not ruined. The human had passed through, made his changes, and left nothing for them to trace. No signatures, no DNA, no body. Only one message remained in the central archive, encoded across multiple systems, fragment by fragment, each line repeating once before deletion. "We warned you." "We waited." "We watched." The message wasn't addressed to any leader. It wasn't political. It was universal, broadcast in every known dialect the Dominion had catalogued. The underlying tone was not vengeance. It was conclusion. Sigma-7 civilian shelters were opened. Human survivors emerged, untouched, unharmed. Dominion troops stood frozen. Orders to eliminate them were never given. The system had reclassified their tags. Not threats. Not enemies. Witnesses. From the high-orbit fleet, Dominion officers issued a standing retreat protocol. Not officially. No grand surrender. Just departure. Ships turned, peeled away, aligned for jump. No resistance met them. The human hadn't blocked their escape. He'd left it open. As word spread across sectors, Dominion border patrols found resistance increasing, not from humans, but from once suppressed species inspired by what had happened. Uprisings began. The idea had moved faster than any fleet. One soldier had broken the illusion of control. Not by war. By design. Within days, footage of the event, uncut, unaltered, spread beyond Dominion space. Leaked through 100 channels. Grainy clips showed patrols disabled, command stations overtaken, units surrendering to a single entity they couldn't even capture on camera. No name. No face. No origin. Only outcomes. Rumors sparked across neutral worlds. Stories of a human so calculated he made war obsolete. Some believed it was a prototype AI, others a genetically enhanced operative. A few whispered it wasn't a soldier at all, but an idea given form. Theories spread faster than confirmations. Among the Kirill elite, Vorderel's silence became more damning than any defeat. He had not fallen in combat. He had not been executed. His ship remained intact, systems functional. He sat motionless in the command throne, speaking to no one. No threats. No denials. Only stillness. When questioned, he offered 5 words. "I saw what you became." He was relieved of command hours later. Back on Earth, there was no parade. No public announcement. No identity released. The operation was never logged. No medals issued. Just a quiet reclassification of Dominion status, from immediate threat to manageable anomaly. The soldier's file, if it existed, remained locked. But in outer sectors, where the Dominion once ruled unchallenged, new graffiti marked outposts and walls, 3 words, painted in hundreds of languages. One was enough. Across the galaxy, silence lingered, not from fear, but from recalculation. The hierarchy had shifted. Not because of overwhelming power. Not through numbers. Through precision. Through intent. Through the unthinkable truth that one quiet force, armed only with knowledge and certainty, had undone what thousands could not. No war declared. No terms negotiated. No army deployed. Only one. And they would never forget him.